So apparently the fellows from was it Liverpool, the Scousers, they're just deciding to take over. Is now at least that's what I think is happening after the events of UFC Vegas 36. Because sweet damn, I mean Paddy, Molly, almost Darren Till. I'm not sure where Tom Aspinall's from, but he's from the same, I guess, region. I think you could say that. So I mean they,
UK.
yeah, I mean, it's all kind. It's a
Not a
small
Scouser, but we'll call him an honorary.
honorary. Well, they're all British. They're all of the British. Okay, so I think we could safe to say we group them in. But long story short, they're taking over, and sweet damn, did they impress on Saturday, along with a bunch of other names. And I mean, like I said, Darren Till. Ooh, he's in a tricky situation right now, isn't he? But Derek Brunson, he is on the fast track to a middleweight title. So man, we have some stuff to talk about, including UFC 268. Is this going to be the greatest card in MMA history? Go and take a look, see if we really need to buy into the hype. But of course, I'm your host, Ross Allen, joined alongside by the fourth and long UFC correspondent, Blake Campbell. Blake, how are we feeling after a accidental week off? Week off nonetheless.
Hey, you were medically suspended. Let's just say that.
Hey,
So,
they got me. It was a medical suspension. It was a 7-day medical suspension handed down by the Nevada State or the Idaho State Athletic Commission.
there you go. Hey, but you're back in business now, bro. We're here to take over, just like the lads in Liverpool.
Yes, we are, man. I mean, real quick history lesson, right? What we looked this up. You found this before the show. This term "scouser" is actually based on the food that the working class was eating.
Yeah. Apparently, there was a popular working class dish of meat, if you were lucky, and veg stew called scouse. Without the meat, it's called blind scouse. But apparently, if Google's not lying to me, that's where it came from.
Blind scouts is
There's your
also
history
known
lesson.
is when Petty gets or anyone from there gets poked in the eyes, looking. No, no, the blind scouts is just Leon Edwards, then, isn't it? Or is he the blinder scouts?
He's the scouts that got rocked by Nate Diaz. But
That was luckily
but
not.
he's not even a scouse either. I don't think he's just a British
He's just.
guy. He's a British guy.
It's a small enough country. They're all like 20 minutes
he's a
away from the
chap.
same city. He's a chap. Or you saying lad earlier? I mean, Blake was just calling me lad. Oh,
That's I've adopted that into my vocabulary now.
I hate you. You're so.
I'm replacing bro with lad.
Please don't. Oh, you're so annoying. I hate you so much, but it's okay. But ladies
You
and
love
gentlemen,
me. You love me.
I love you. Oh man, and one thing I do love, Blake, I think most importantly is the Blake's bangers that you pump out every single week. Because if we're going to get into things with UC Vegas 36, I always gotta ask the question, start things off with the card. Did the bangers hit?
Absolutely. I think that goes without, even questioning. But I do have to say I have to put a little footnote. Charles Jourdain and Julian Juicy J Erosa. That was a banger,
That was a
bro.
good fight.
That was a banger. But yeah,
To
I
be
mean,
fair, you were considering making that one of your Blake's bangers. To be fair.
I was, but let's not give me too much credit. I need to make the better calls. But I do think the three fights we did go with, we went with the Tom Aspinall, Sergey Spivak. We went
That
with
was a fun fight.
right. We went with Paddy Pimblett
Even though it only
and
went, half a round.
right. We went with Paddy and Luigi, which was again insane fight. I only lasted through the first round.
Yep, 4.5 minute
Um,
fight there.
and then Modestus Bukauskas and Khalil Roundtree, I think, was our other choice. And
Yep.
I really do think that one could have been replaced with the Julian Erosa and Charles Jourdain fight, just if we were really comparing just those two fights.
Mm-hmm.
But man, you really couldn't go wrong, right? With either of those, with
No.
any of those four fights.
No, I think you were just fine with what we ended up going with, and I mean you even could have been. I guess it wasn't necessarily a banger, but Alex Morano just putting on a clinic against
Yeah.
David Zawada. Yeah, man, that fight was not close, but sure as hell was exciting because you just saw someone get their ass whooped for 15 minutes.
You can't complain with that, man.
Right? I mean, what was that? That was Sean O'Malley and Chris Moutinho. That was an ass whooping for 14 and a half minutes or yeah, right? Was it 14 and a half?
Yeah, they stopped it with like 30, 31 seconds left, something like that.
Yeah. So I always, I mean, it's not necessarily a banger, but it's nice. Also, I mean, just shout out to this being a bit of an earlier card starting 2 o'clock Mountain Time. The main card did. Oh, that was kind of refreshing. After like the last few cards being 8 o'clock start time, I was happy with that. You're able to get to bed at normal time.
Yeah, it was nice to, be done a little early and still have stuff to be able to do later in the day. I mean,
I mean, you
got
woke
plenty.
up, man. 10:30 for you is when
Yeah,
that prelim started.
I'm gonna be honest. I missed the first fight because I was like lagging a little bit, and then I came right in during the Charles Jourdain and Julian Erosa fight.
That was a good one to
Whew,
get in.
yeah, that woke me up instantly, bro. Or should I say, lad?
Damn it. This is going to be a long episode. Oh, I hate you so much. Okay, let's talk winners. Let's move on from your stupid lad. Oh, I swear, you're a lad. I don't even. Wait,
I'm a proper lad.
you're prop. Damn it, I hate this already. Let's talk. The first winner for me was Khalil Roundtree. He ended a 2-fight skid with a brutal TKO over the aforementioned Bakaskis. Yeah, dude, that was a tough one, but it was a really good fight for like that round and a half that ended up going there. But it was that oblique kick that we really want to focus in on that ended the night, and it was a completely legal move that can destroy careers. Ultimately, is kind of what happened there. So, what do you think about this fight? And I mean, everyone's talking about it's time for a rule change. You think there's a legitimate weight behind that?
So first thing about the fight, it started out crazy, right? Khalil went
Mm-hmm.
out there and basically shifted Modestus's nose sideways.
Looked
The
like Ben
fact
Roethlisberger, man. That was tough.
the fact that he was still able to go out there and stand and trade and try and fight his way back in there, it was just really impressive. And then going into the second round, it looked like he was still in there and still ready to give it all he got. But then Khalil with that freaking oblique kick, man, it's gnarly, dude.
Mm-hmm.
It's
It's a
tough to
tough
say like
move.
it should be banned because I mean then you'd I saw this other discourse on Twitter being had. You'd have to ban knee bars, possibly maybe ankle locks, like
Mm-hmm.
just all that type of stuff that be shredding, muscles.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, like why are you just getting rid of the oblique kick? So
Mm.
I
That's a good
kind of see
point.
both sides here, and I don't know. I think it might just be you got to be a little bit more aware of it. I guess it kind of sounds like a crappy thing to say, but you gotta be prepared if you know that guy's going to be throwing oblique kicks, which I don't know if that was the first time Khalil has been trying to use that move, but I mean you got to be aware of
Mm-hmm.
every weapon that's in there coming at you.
Yeah, that's a great thing to say, especially since what Modestas came out and said. I mean, on his Instagram on Sunday, saying essentially that it's not Roundtree's fault. Don't blame him for any of this. He should have been able to protect himself from that kick. And
Mhm.
I mean, I think Modestas has handled this perfectly. Obviously, it's a tough situation to be in, but he's been a great guy when it comes to sportsmanship, and he's kind of right if he's willing to take responsibility for that. It's ultimately up to the fighter to defend themselves in that
Yep.
situation.
Absolutely. I mean,
Check the kick.
if you start taking away all these different types of shots, I mean, pretty soon it's going to be boxing. So if you want to go box, go fight Jake Paul. But they're in the UFC. They got to be aware, man. There's so many freaking That's the difference
Mm-hmm.
between UFC fighting and boxing and kickboxing and all those other things out there, man. It's it's all up for grabs. Like everything goes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's a great point. I mean, oh, it's like it'd be like if you took away like someone's choke, in the ground game. It's it's weird. It's a really tricky situation. But also, I do think that, I mean, if 12 to 6 elbows are going. Oh, here I make this trade though, Blake. I make this trade. In terms of ban strikes, I will trade oblique kicks for 12 to 6 elbows. Make those legal. Make the oblique kicks illegal. I'll take that trade all day.
That one's tough for me, man. That one's really tough because the 12 to 6 elbows, like that would open up the ground game a lot more. I think for people that are on their back,
Mm-hmm.
it would really kind of almost be an equalizer for someone that's got heavy top pressure and a really good wrestler,
Like
or even
that would have helped
BJJ.
out there until this fight. We'll get to that in a minute.
Absolutely. I mean, just look at Conor McGregor, dude. I mean, he throws them and he doesn't get called for it, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, they
Conor
definitely
McGregor doesn't
hurt.
get called for anything.
The only thing I don't like about 12 to 6 elbows though is just the point of the elbow, man. Like that could really do some damage if you hit it like on his temple or I
Well,
just
what I
think it's
don't
a
like
little
about the
sharp.
12 to 6 elbow is it could break ice, man. It
Yeah.
could break sacks of ice. New
Yeah.
York. I mean, for those, if you know, you know what I'm talking about.
Cinder blocks,
Yeah.
whatever. Bricks, who
Whatever you can
knows?
find on YouTube. I mean, look those karate guys. They're breaking cinder blocks with the elbow,
Right.
man. That's crazy.
Insane.
I mean, I want to see someone break a cinder block with oblique kick. That's all I'm saying.
But now, what could I stomach more? I could definitely stomach more of the 12 to 6 elbows and the oblique kicks because
Mm-hmm.
that is just, man, if you catch him like Khalil did last night,
Mm-hmm.
it's game over, dude. It's
Yeah.
game over. And you can't fault Khalil for that because that's a fight ending blow. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he really got out of there with minimal damage. So, I mean,
He got the TKO. He got the
yeah,
TKO. You know, it's going to show up as a finish in your record all time.
your job is to go out there and finish your opponent with, the least amount of damage taken,
Mm-hmm.
right? The fastest that you can. And he pretty much did that. So,
Hey, someone else that did that was my second winner. That's Tom Aspinall because he moves to 4-0 in the UFC. He's on a 7-fight win streak. All 4 wins in the UFC have come by finish. 3 of the 4 of them have come from first round knockout. And he has won by submission in the second. That, of course, has a RNC against Andrei Arlovski in his last fight before this one. And he looks like he really might be the next star in this heavyweight division with the weapons that he has. He moves well. He's a fast. He moves pretty fast for his size, and he hits like a damn truck. I mean, and he has everything. He has knees. He has kicks. He has strikes. He has
elbows.
right. He has elbows. He can throw with his hands just as well. He has a lot of stuff. We haven't. Then he's shown that he also has a ground game as well too. I don't know if Andrei Arlovski is like necessarily the greatest fighter ever on the ground, but he shows he has those tools with that submission. So, what do you think about him? And where do you think he could fit into in this heavyweight division?
I think he's a young up and coming stud, man. And I like his mindset. He's one of those guys where you heard in his post fight, interview. Give me the next guy up, right? Like I think I'm going to be number 13 now, right? Give me number 12. I don't care about number 5. I don't care about number 1. Like let's build this thing up. Let's climb up the ladder. He wants to literally take everybody out on his way up, which I think
So
is badass.
it's
He doesn't
badass.
want to skip the line. He's like, screw the hype. Give me the guys that I deserve, and I'll knock him out, and I'll get to that title shot eventually.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you need a heavyweight with that kind of mindset. I love it. It's a true workman-like mentality with what he's rolling with. And do you think that's the route that do you think the UFC might listen to his wishes there?
I mean, I think it's all gonna be based off
He
of
called out
availability.
Blagoy Ivanov with this one. The guy that Derek Lewis said has a was it belly button in his chest.
What?
Oh, you don't remember that?
Oh, I don't remember
Well, that's
that, but that
because
sounds like
Blagoy
something he'd say.
I'm pretty sure it's Blagoy Ivanov that got stabbed in his chest, so now has like a little divot in there where they did the surgery. So he
Oh
called it
man,
his chest belly button or something like that.
jeez, that sounds like something Derek would say.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, as long as he's healthy and available, great fight. Just keep climbing the ladder. I mean, we'll see though. We'll see if Mick and Sean and Dana have different plans. But I
Mm-hmm.
think if he's asking for the guy right above him, why not give him the guy right above him?
I respect that one too. But in the other sense, if you want the fight that'll kind of skyrocket him up the rankings a little bit more and kind of throw him into deep waters, almost like Alexander Volkov might be a good matchup here. Volkov is seeming like the top 5 gatekeeper at this point. I mean, from Cyril Gahn Derek Lewis with that one. He's fought some other guys, kind of like that gatekeeper almost. You think that'd be the fight to make if the UFC wants to push Tom Aspinall?
I wouldn't be against it, but I mean that's quite the jump, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
going to be from 13 to number 5.
Yep.
So I mean, I wouldn't mind him getting a Blagoy Ivanov, a Walt Harris, even a Chris Daukis.
More seen to when I think was it Tabur and Dawkins are fighting, right? Is that the fight that's going on here?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I'm sure someone above them has to be booked because they can't be all available.
Right. I mean, there's no way that let me pull this up here because I'm pretty sure Dawkins got got a fight. No, he's fighting Shamil. Last name that I can't pronounce. I'm not even gonna try. So hey, Marcin Tybura could be a good fight there. Marcin Tybura, Tom Aspinall.
Tabura, Augusto Sakai,
Mm-hmm.
Walt Harris, Blagoy Ivanov. I think any of
I
those
don't know if I
guys are.
want to feed Walt Harris to Tom Aspinall.
I know. I hate him to be
Oh,
losing so much. He needs to get a win.
right. Yeah, I mean, just have him fight like Sergey or someone like that. Pavlovich, not Spivak. I know there's a
Just have him
couple.
run it back instantly.
Yes,
That'd be screwed up.
I know. I wouldn't that be a dick move? Oh man, the UFC would if that happened, the UFC really would just hate Walt Harris. That's for sure. I mean, Walt Harris versus Francis Ngannou. Yeah, I think that's the fight to make here. There's a reason that Ngannou hasn't been booked yet, which is still so weird to me. Maybe we'll talk about that here in a second. But there's two title fights that really should have been made that haven't been made yet. We'll talk about that when we're done with UFC Vegas 36 now. I mean that one because it's weird that Gon and Ngannou has been booked yet, and it's weird that Whitaker and Izzy has been booked yet. So I mean I think we'll talk about that here in a moment. But now let's move on to the real star of the night, that guy that's just taking over the UFC by storm. And when Dana White looks at him, especially after this fight, all he sees is dollar signs. But let's talk about Paddy Pimblett because he makes his highly anticipated debut with the UFC after turning them down twice, and this time almost not being able to get the fight because of visa issues or like cannabis issues or something stupid like that. But after getting rocked kind of early, he gets a huge TKO in the first round of his debut, getting a performance of the night bonus here as well. It was a solid comeback, man. And so what do you think about this? And I mean, Blake, I know you were saying before the fight, he can talk the talk, but can't walk the walk. And he might be able to walk.
Yeah, I mean, didn't disappoint in his debut. He got the finish in an emphatic fashion. It was a little rocky
A
to
little nervous
start.
at the beginning of that fight.
Yeah, I mean, it really looked like he was possibly going to get blasted. But he kept his composure and he went for the kill. I mean, as soon as he saw that he had Luigi hurt, he just freaking unleashed.
Dropped like
Uh,
10, 20 strikes on him. It
and
was
that's what I like when
tough.
fighters have that killer instinct, man.
Nate Diaz.
Um, right. Well, he has the killer instinct, but he likes to point and talk. So
He's,
Patty didn't point and talk; he just went and destroyed.
mm-hmm.
So I mean, I am so looking forward to his next fight. The only thing is, I mean, and he knows this. He's got to clean up his striking defense.
Mm-hmm.
He's standing up a little too tall. You could hear it in the
Chin's out,
commentators
man.
all night.
Yeah.
Someone's gonna find that chin. So
Well,
hopefully
Luigi
someone gets in
did
his
find
ear.
it. Just not. He just didn't finish it.
Yeah.
You really want to talk
So
about that?
he's gonna have some work to do, but his next fight, I'm already freaking just counting down the days, man. And I don't
Right.
even know when it's gonna be.
Right. It was a good one. Do you think? Do you think he can contend with the top 20 of this? I mean, he's going to be fighting the lightweight division, and he's going to be fighting. I mean, that goes without saying. He's going to be fighting some absolute studs. Even like the top, like the fighters that are in the top 20, top 25. Those are all some really high level talent. You don't even have to get into the top 15 here. And so, where do you think he goes from here? Do you think he gets put into that top 25, top 20 fight already, or do you think they take it a little bit slow?
Uh, yeah. I mean, I think he's definitely gonna take it a little slower than like, just getting a top 12, top 15 guy right away.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely don't think he wants to play around too much down here. I think he thinks of himself as ready to be
Mm.
challenging those top guys up there. But I mean, just off of the eye test, I'd like to see him get maybe one or two, possibly even three more fights before he goes anywhere close to that top five.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair. There are
Continue to
some.
get your feet wet, build up the highlight reel, and then once the hype is freaking huge,
Mm-hmm.
boom, go in there,
And there
take
are
what's yours.
there are some names that he might be able to take a look at that don't have fights booked right now. Jeremy Stephens actually might be one of them. That's a name and that's a scalp that you can give to Paddy quite possibly. Jeremy Stephens kind of around like the mid 30s of that lightweight division right now. Otman Azaitar could be something right there as well. If you want to take a look, Kama Worthy might be a better name for him. I mean, maybe not name value, but in terms of like, I guess matchup, it could be there. But I mean, I definitely wouldn't feed him to guys like if you take a look at top 25, you start to get names like Rafael Fiziev and let's go Vince Pichel and those kind of guys. I'd probably stay away from that for the time being. You think? I think those are like the next step up right
Yeah,
now.
I'd like to see him get one more fight from maybe the 20 to 30 range in rankings.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, I mean, I'm looking at Thiago Moises right there at number 15.
Mm.
That wouldn't be a bad fight. But once you get into those rankings, man, you're there to stay or you drop out.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he shouldn't rush it. But I mean, he's got everything besides the experience, let's say,
That's
in the
mm.
UFC to be a star.
That's a really good way of putting it. Now he just saw about building that experience and tucking that chin a little bit there. But let's talk the main event now, Blake. We got Darren Till and Derek Brunson here. And Derek Brunson, he moves to 5 wins in a row now with his submission victory in the 3rd round over Darren Till. And it was essentially like the numbers show that Darren Till actually won in the stand-up. He outstruck Derek Brunson in the stand-up. But when you talk about the clincher, the ground, that was just about an all-around ass whooping by Derek Brunson in this one. And man, it was tough, man. Till just had no answer. He got taken down 3 times, ended up getting submitted after the last one, and he just looked like he had no answer there. And this was a weird fight to watch, especially if you're a Darren Till fan.
I mean, just looking at the numbers alone, like the total strikes numbers, I think it's like 101 in Derek's favor to like 26 or 28 for Darren Till.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy to me, man. I mean, he just totally neutralized Darren's offense for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Really, it looked to me like Darren maybe hit one good shot in the 3rd round
Yeah.
right before the finishing sequence. And that was
Mm-hmm.
about the only decent moment he had in the fight. I mean, he had a black eye. He got ragdolled a little bit, choked out. I mean, it was a rough night for Darren. And it kind of showed some big holes in his game that he still hasn't addressed since the Woodley fight.
Which is almost weird that he hasn't addressed those yet. It's really intriguing because if you take a look at Darren Till recently, he's 1-4 in his last 5 fights. He is 1-2 since moving to middleweight. His only win is over Kelvin Gastelum. Of course, he has that loss against Robert Whitaker, and now Derek Brunson. So he's really only fought killers, and then the other 2 losses in his 1-4 in his last 5 was against Tyron Woodley and Jorge Masvidal. So it's not like he's lost to bad people. He's fought some killers, but at the same time, he hasn't really been able to live up to the standards of the top of the divisions.
Yeah, it's been a tough ride for him at the top, but what are you gonna do? I love what he posted on Instagram yesterday.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
posted that picture of Charles Oliveira and Michael Bisping.
Mm-hmm.
2 champions that never gave up on their dreams. Didn't have the easiest path, but still made it work. So he's a
You
young
get to,
guy still, man.
at least his head is in the right place after a loss like this. He has. It's not like
Yeah,
he's quitting or anything. He's far from it.
yeah, and I mean he got outclassed, but these are all experiences you can learn from,
Mm-hmm.
you can grow from. Hopefully he does, and he gets the right people in there to help him. Because I mean, I'd love to see this guy in there for a title fight again. I mean, him versus Israel Adesanya, that would be just the best shit talking memes ever.
The
So
memes would be so damn good. I mean, I almost want Darren Till to have to like go to AKA or something like that. Maybe American Top Team and get his wrestling going
right,
because he he's a one dimensional fighter at this point. I mean, I
yep,
know Derek Brunson. He's one of the best. He's arguably the best in the division when it comes to wrestling. But man, you need to be like kind of what you were talking about. In UFC, man, it's MMA. You got to be good everywhere. And especially if you want to be champion, Darren Till he's not good everywhere, and that it's just straightforward like that.
agreed.
Do you think he changes camps, or do you
I
think
don't
he
think
changes
so.
focus of like what part of his game?
I've seen a lot of people saying, why doesn't he go back down to 170?
Well,
But
that's
it's
my
like,
second question there too.
man, you think you can make that? I don't know. I don't know if he can make that weight.
Hmm. About
Uh,
15-pound difference there.
I he seems like such a loyal guy. I don't think he's gonna switch his teams, but I do think he will bring someone in possibly,
Mm.
or maybe go out and find somewhere where he can get like a month or 2 months, like kind of like Kevin Holland, how he was kind of just bouncing around,
Hmm.
soaking up knowledge from different areas so he can try and put that into his game.
So when we send Darren Till out to Dagestan for a month.
Couldn't hurt him.
Well, I mean, I think that probably could hurt him in terms physically, because that would suck.
Yeah, yeah, no.
Put
Those guys don't mess around
I
out
can't
there.
wait till we see Darren Till, with one of his was it Instagram lives with the bear? It'll be him and the bear talking shit, right?
Some rounds with the bear.
Man, that would be something. But if you just want to just like assume he could make the welterweight again, if you could assume he could make the weight, you could really make the argument that he could be one of the top contenders in that division.
Who's the champion though?
It's Kamaru Usman, who beat Tyron Woodley, who was a guy that put the Darce choke on Darren Till. Also, it, I wouldn't hate to see the rematch with Jorge Masvidal.
Yeah, I mean that wouldn't be bad.
But
I don't. I think it goes down. I think it goes differently this next time.
I do too, especially where I mean that was when. So if you take a look at that fight, that's when Darren Till started kind of his decline, and Jorge Masvidal started his rise in the UFC. So Jorge Masvidal has been on the decline recently, but of course I think they're talking with him the fight to make. He wants to try to get a title shot again from his next fight. So really the only fight to make right now with Jorge Masvidal is Leon Edwards. So I mean, Darren Till isn't really in the question, but if you take a look, guys like maybe Michael Chiesa, Neil Magny, Bilal Muhammad, now those are some really interesting fights in my opinion. More interesting than kind of what we see at the middleweight division.
I could have sworn Chiesa just had a fight announced.
He did. He did.
Who was that against?
Was
Do you
that
remember?
was against was it Sean Brady?
Yeah, you're right. You're
Yeah.
right. The guy that was supposed to fight Kevin Lee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean, you got some of these guys booked up, but I would like to see those matchups at welterweight. I think, in my opinion, what Darren Till can do at welterweight and the matchups that we can get with him at welterweight are more interesting than what we currently have in middleweight. You agree?
I
Or
think he would. I think he would have a bigger advantage at welterweight. But
he's a big
again,
welterweight, and he's
once
a
he
normal
gets to
size
that top
middleweight.
side,
Yeah.
once he gets to that top side and has to fight a Colby Covington or a Kamaru Usman. Jesus, I couldn't say that. He's gonna be in trouble, man. I mean, he's gonna be in big trouble.
Well, he's in big trouble with anyone at the top of the division in the middleweights too. It's he just needs that ground game desperately if he really wants to contend. That's my takeaway from this.
Yeah. Now, I mean, I almost really want to see that Marvin Vittori fight, see if that would have played out similar to the Derek Brunson fight
It
that
could.
just happened yesterday,
There's arguments that could have played out worse.
possibly.
Mm. That's a tough one. What do you think he should do next though? What do you think they book next for Darren Till?
I think he's gonna wait and see position.
Mm.
He's probably gonna get a loser of one of these fights that are happening, like the Costa and Vittori fight.
Mm.
Maybe.
I
Yeah. I
almost
mean,
think he might have to take a step down. Maybe does Uriah Hall have a fight booked? Does Brad Tavares have a fight booked?
because Sean Strickland's fighting Luke.
Yeah.
Kevin Gastelum he's got to get another step down too, probably.
Does Kevin
Yeah.
Holland have a fight booked?
He's been MIA.
Well, like you say, he's been going over wrestling, trying to get his game up. So
Yeah.
I don't blame him for taking some time. He fought 5 times in a year. I think he built a decent enough cushion to live off of like a fight or two in 2021.
Yeah, only made like 500 grand in 1 year.
And how many bonuses did he get too? Sweet damn, that was one. Honestly, a historical year from Kevin Holland. But Kevin Holland, Darren Till, 2 guys with no ground game, but need to work on it.
Yeah.
2 guys that can talk, 2 guys that can throw down in the stand up. I think that could be a fight to make there.
Be entertaining.
Yeah, I think that's the least you could say about that. Or what do you think about the welterweight move? Do you think he'll ever go back?
I don't think so. I think the weight's too much of an issue. But if he does, then I'm more intrigued at him at welterweight at this point than I am at middleweight, because at middleweight we've kind of seen who he is.
That's a good point. Unless he can take some time off and, like I was saying, get that ground game going.
Yep.
Still, I'm not really sure if he could progress at this point in time in the middleweight division. Or
Well, he's got so much ground to make up.
yeah,
It's not like you can just go out there and work on one thing and then just be efficient all of a sudden. I mean, these guys, Brunson, Habib, like all these guys, they've been wrestling their whole life.
mm-hmm.
You don't just make that up in 1 month, in
No.
2 months, in 6 months, in
Mm-hmm.
1 year even. You can get a lot better, but you're not going to be on that same level as them. And if they already are up here and have such a high advantage,
Mm-hmm.
it's not going to even out, like it's going to get to right here rather than, where it was down there, not even on the screen,
Well, at
right?
least if you're Darren Till, you don't have to catch up to the Brunson. You just have to get good enough where you could fight, where you could just have better takedown defense or not get absolutely outclassed on the ground. I think it's enough. It's almost like you have to get good enough to be able to be good enough to defend it, not necessarily go on the offensive.
But even that, man, that's not easy to catch
No,
up to,
no,
because I'm sure he's been drilling that. It's not like
yeah,
he wasn't working on that.
yeah.
And that just goes to show you how much of a gap there is between him and Derek Brunson's skill level strictly in the ground game and grappling.
Derek Brunson, he's underrated. He's underrated in this middleweight division.
He's taking care of business, man, every time he goes out there now. And he's shutting up big mouth people too.
Kevin Holland, especially, man.
Shut down the golden boy, Edmund Shabazian. Shut down Kevin Holland, the biggest, bark, but not the biggest bite. Darren Till, meme lord. He's just going out there and taking care of business. Ian Heinisch, he beat up
Yeah.
him. So
And,
really, really impressive performances, impressive wins.
I mean,
Can't
really,
take anything away from him.
Derek Brunson's only bad loss was to Izzy. And
I think that was his last loss, right?
I think last loss or second to last loss. It was one of those. It was like one of his only two recent losses before this 5-fight winning streak. I know he had earlier lost to Anderson Silva, and then was it a loss to Silva, and then
He lost to Souza.
Jacare, that's right. That was a rematch from Strikeforce where Jacare also won that fight.
Yep.
Yeah, so is those two. But hey, 5-5 winning streak and looking good. And when you're on a 5-5 winning streak in the top division like this, you can have a decent amount of say in your shot. So of course he's going to call out for the champion of the division in Izzy Adesanya. He wants that rematch from when he lost to Izzy. Or he also said he would be open to a fight with Jared Cannonier. And personally, I think that fight with Jared Cannonier, that's why after Cannonier beat Gastelum, I said that Jared Cannonier's probably next fight is going to be against the winner of Brunson and Till. And I am still very much on board with that decision.
That's like the only guy that Derek hasn't fought yet in the middleweight division. It's ridiculous, dude. If you look at his
He's fought everyone. He's been around for a while.
Let's just start from when he first got into the UFC, right?
Mm-hmm.
Chris Lieben. I'm just going to go over the notable names: Chris Lieben, Yoel Romero, Lorenz Larkin, Ed Herman, Sam Smiling Alvey, Uriah Hall, Anderson Silva, Robert Whitaker, Lyoto Machida, Ronaldo Souza, twice, Israel Adesanya, Elias Theodoro, who cares, Ian Heinisch, Edmund Shabazian, Kevin Holland, Darren Till. Ridiculous. And most of those,
man.
he's winning, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's lost, like 2 to 4 of those fights?
He's lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times in the UFC, and it was to Izzy by TKO, Ronaldo Souza by TKO, Anderson Silva by decision, Robert Whitaker by TKO, and Yoel Romero by TKO.
And so you got TKO'd by some of the best strikers in division history, is what you're telling me, Blake. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
And he took the greatest middleweight to a decision, is what.
And that's why it's hard for him to get back, to the spot that he's trying to get to, because when you get knocked out, you lose a lot of luster, and that's just what's tough about this sport. But the fact that he's gone out there and got he's reeled off 5 wins in a row against tough competition, minus Theodoro. But that guy's an annoying guy to fight. So props to him for getting he's a point fighter.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why he got cut. So
hey, Brunson is a beast, though. You think
Brunson's a beast?
Do you think Cannonier the next fight that we should book, and then
Cannonier or wait it out? Cannonier or wait it out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I hope they give if him and Cannonier fight. I hope they give them money because that's a huge fight.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
it
know,
is. I
they'd be doing the UFC a favor by agreeing to that.
technically, yeah. Yeah, I could see that. So obviously some tough stuff going there. And we'll see how and if Darren Till's able to bounce back because I hope he does. He's a fun fighter to have around. Is It was just another really tough night at the office. I kind of hope that I don't want them to necessarily give him a gimme fight in his next one, but maybe something that'll help him get back on track. That's why, no offense to Kevin Holland, I do like that fight though. I do like that fight. But that's going to do it for UFC Vegas 36. And before we get to talking UFC 268, let's go to what I was mentioning earlier. There was a couple title fights that we thought at least were the easiest fights in the world to make, and that they should have been booked a long time ago. I mean, most importantly, Robert Whittaker and Israel Adesanya, if we want to stay on the topic of the middleweight division. Are you confused by that too, of why it hasn't been announced?
As long as it gets announced, I'm not going to be tripping
Mm-hmm.
because I think maybe they're trying to figure out the whole situation, like the venue situation, like where can we maximize profit? Because that will be a pay-per-view, obviously.
Yeah, they were trying to book that in Australia or New Zealand.
That's
But
not going to happen.
no, that's not happening with how shut down those countries are. It's going to be, I mean, think best bet might be Vegas.
I think so too. I think that should happen in Vegas, but we'll see. I mean, that's the fight to make, in my opinion. Robert Whittaker is the number one guy. There's no ifs, ands, ors
No.
about it.
Whitaker is the only guy that has a shot at contending with Izzy at the moment.
You said what?
I think Whitaker is the only guy realistically that has a shot at beating Israel Adesanya at the moment. He's the only guy in the middleweight division. Or maybe not. They did just the UFC did just sign the guy that knocked out Izzy in his kickboxing fight. So maybe he's the one. He's the chosen one that can knock out Izzy again.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy because Izzy's already beat all these guys, dude. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Rob, Paulo, Marvin,
Mm-hmm.
Eric. It's just, man, Kelvin. You know, I think Brad as well. Brad Tavares.
Yeah, earlier on, right?
Yep. But yeah, I think
Anderson Silva.
out of the top five for sure, Robert probably does have the best chance, and he's the most well-rounded. You know, good striking, good grappling, everything, submission game, defense is decently solid, at least for when he's not fighting Izzy.
Mm-hmm. It's just weird that this fight hasn't been announced yet. Is all because
Yeah, but we don't know everything that's happening behind the scenes. I hope my hope is that they are working on this fight because, like I said, if they make this fight, no problems. But it is weird. It is weird that it's not really being talked about, but that might just be to protect their plans. Who knows?
good point. And then with the heavyweights, I mean, it should be Francis Ngannou versus Cyril Gane. Maybe there's still time. You can still put down the December card, right? That Matt Nunes and Julian Pena is fighting on. I think that's the only title fight announced for that card right now. So you could make that happen, but they've been delaying this fight. I mean, you thought almost like normally, with the interim title, you see on the night, yeah, they're going to do Cyril Gane and Francis Ngannou. It's been a while since that's happened, and is John Jones the monkey wrench that's being thrown into this situation?
Yeah, I don't know. That's another tough question, man. It's all speculation, but
No,
you
of
know,
course.
there's gotta be something happening behind the scenes. Whether it be the John Jones monkey wrench, or maybe Francis is being kind of hard to work with. Who knows?
Well, that would be weird to me because Francis was the guy that wanted to fight him. I mean, he was named the number one contender for the winner of Stipe versus Cormier 3, right? And he was almost annoyed that he was the number one contender for that because he wanted to fight. So, I mean, Francis has always been a guy that's taken fights. He's never really turned anything down except the 5-0 with Derek Lewis. And by turning down, I mean, he wanted an extra month to train, which is one of the most reasonable requests I've heard from a champion. For being honest there. So, there's no way that it's Gane that's holding this up, is it?
I don't think so because Gon probably wants to fight for the title whenever.
Mm-hmm.
He wants that opportunity. I think there it's either going to be a money issue or
Mm.
maybe it sounds like Francis really does want to fight John Jones, but
That's what it seems like.
yeah, I just have no idea what's going on with the John Jones camp. I have zero idea.
Well, John Jones is almost seemingly retired at this point. It's weird. Or is that John Jones just is he just timing out a USADA suspension that was not made public?
Who knows?
You
That's
never
another
know.
good. That's another good guess.
Right? You never know with John Jones. I swear he got caught
Little
with a
cocaine suspension,
little cocaine. No, he secretly ran
dick
over
pill.
another pregnant woman.
Took some Viagra recently. Jeez.
Well, how? Well, I mean, he was trying to get that weight up. He was trying with the deadlifts, right? Maybe he's trying to get something else up there. Who knows? Maybe it's just a little tainted. It's a really weird thing going on with the heavyweight division. It seems like it'd be so easy to book these fights, but then nope, we have to wait for them for some reason. But hopefully the UFC makes the right decision here and just books these two title fights. I mean, you almost think that. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Francis Ngannou wanted to fight John Jones because that's an easier fight right now than it is with Cyril Gane. Yeah,
I think so.
yeah. Cyril Gane is a way harder fight. I mean, imagine if Gane probably would have been better just taking the August fight against Derek Lewis instead of having to fight Cyril Gane now.
I think that fight would have been coming up regardless, though, man, because that guy was on tear, and he's a problem.
Yeah, he
It's
is.
gonna. I really want to see that fight. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he's a natural heavyweight. He's not going up like John Jones is. They have history in training. It's going to be close, man. It's going to be a really good fight, and you can tell Cyril is not scared at all. He's not
No.
intimidated. He's already felt the power. He already knows what to expect,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's probably a reason why Francis is a little hesitant to take this fight. He knows all of Francis's tricks.
Mm-hmm. Someone's also not. It does happen often where you have an opponent for Francis Ngannou that isn't worried about his power.
Yeah,
Mm, that's a scary thing. But would love to hear your guys' answers about that. What you think is going on with the heavyweight division and the middleweight division, and if you think those are actually the fights that we are ultimately going to get here. But one of the last things I want to talk about, of course, is how, at least on paper, how incredibly stacked UFC 268 is looking right now. I mean, if you take a look at the main card, you got Al Iaquinta and Bobby Green, Frankie Edgar, Marlon Chito Vera, and then you got Jermaine de Randamine against Aaron Aldana, and possibly number one contender fight right there. Sean Strickland, Luke Rockhold. Then you got a clear number one contender fight with Justin Gaethje and Michael Chandler. You got a rematch with Rose Namajunas and Zhang Wei Li, and then you got the rematch with Kamaru Usman and Colby Covington. Then one of my most, I mean, Edmund Shabazian is fighting on that card too, and one of my favorite, I mean, just an absolute banger of a fight. I really can't tell you how good of a fight matchup this is. One of the ones, the most recent one to be announced for this card is Shane Burgos and Billy Quarantillo. That's such a good fight. Oh, that gets my blood pumping already.
yeah, that card's loaded right now, man.
What do you think though? Are you buying to the hype with this card? Greatest card in MMA history?
I was already bought into it when it first got announced. As soon as I saw Gaethje and Chandler on there and Usman versus Covington too, that's all I needed to see.
Oh, they just keep adding to it, man. They just keep. What was that one card we thought was low? Was it UFC 262? Earlier 261, or is it? Trying to think. What was the one? Was it 260? Which one was Kamaru Usman and Jorge Masvidal? The rematch, and then the Whaley and Rose. Was that 261? Right? I'm pretty sure that was UFC 261 because 262 should have been Chandler and Oliveira for the lightweight title.
Yeah, 261 on April 24th. Kamaru, Masvidal, Whaley versus Rose, Valentina versus Jessica Andrade, Uriah Hall snapping Chris Weidman's leg, Anthony Smith snapping Jimmy Crute's knee,
Mm-hmm.
Cowboy Oliveira versus Randy Brown. That was a good fight.
That was a really good fight.
But yeah, I mean that was pretty stacked card, but I mean 268 blows this card out of the water.
Oh yeah, I mean only those three title fights in one card is huge. These two and then I mean it's someone already has brain damage, or someone's going to get even more brain damage with Chandler and Justin Gaethje, man. But all I know is one of those two. That's such a good fight because you're going to see one of those two guys is going to be doing a backflip with the other one out on the canvas.
Yeah, that's facts.
Right? That's going to happen. It's just a matter of who's doing the backflip and who's going to be laying on the canvas here. But let's talk about what do you think about Cheeto Vera kind of stealing Sean O'Malley's fight with Frankie Edgar there?
Yeah, opportunity is his now.
Mm-hmm. That's a
It's
good.
really, it's really all I got to say about it, honestly. I mean,
It's almost
Sean.
like they're giving Cheeto the purse that Sugar Sean was supposed to have.
Well, I mean, Sean had a really good reason for him to not take this fight, in my opinion. I mean, his coach has a BJJ tournament, and that's already been scheduled for the past months. So he's just being a good friend, you know. And it's he. I think he has full ability to decline that fight because why should he fight without his coach? You know that he's trusted for his whole career.
It'd be
and
stupid
now,
to not fight with him.
Yeah, and not to mention, I'm sure a huge part of it is the tax collections too.
Mm-hmm.
So,
New York is going to be making a pretty penny off these fighters. Jeez.
Now Cheeto Vera gets to have a good opportunity to fight a legend and add another feather to his cap, or Frankie gets to kind of build back up again, right, and maybe make one last push towards the title.
Mm-hmm. Hey, it's a great fight for either. And then I think one of the most surprising fights on this card so far was the announcement of the immediate rematch between Rose and Weili. And honestly, I'm not necessarily sold on the immediate rematch here because I'm not sure if even Weili deserves an immediate rematch. She had one defense of the title. It's not like she went out and had like a bunch of defenses. If like you get to like 2-3 title defenses in a row, then yeah, I think anyone that beats you probably deserve an immediate rematch with them with how good you were. But to me, there's two fights to make that they should have done in the women's featherweight division. That was Rose versus Carla Esparza, and that was Weili versus Joanna Jędrzejczyk. To me, it was easy, but they went with their immediate rematch here. So what do you think about that? Are you kind of in my boat, or do you agree with what the UFC did here?
I can see why the UFC put Weili in there, but I mean, yeah, I think I would have rather seen the Carla Esparza fight just because I would like to see Rose get her chance at redemption, right? Get her chance to get that win back.
Back-to-back redemption fights for Rose. That would have been so
I think
good.
she deserves it. She's a phenomenal champion. So I mean, beat Joanna, the first person to beat Joanna. I mean, can't take that away from her.
No.
At least in strictly MMA.
Yeah.
But they chose Weili obviously because she has a huge following in China. But I don't see how this fight's going to play out any differently. I mean, she was already spooked last time they were in the United States because she got booed, apparently. What do you think is going to happen this time in New York?
It's going to be just as bad.
Good luck. You're getting knocked out first round.
Another head kick. Dude,
that would be sweet because now I'm really rooting for Rose. I mean, I'm kind of like grossed out the fact that this fight was made, but it is what it is. It's the UFC. Dana White gets to call the shots, so.
Fair enough, man. Would love to see what you guys think about UFC 268 too. You on board with it being the most stacked card and the best card in MMA history? Or are you trying to take a little bit of a chill pill and just kind of not allow yourself to get too hyped here? And because, I mean, Blake, you were saying before the show that we're not getting this full card, are we?
There's always one that drops at least. I hate to do the Debbie Downer.
Guess. Which fight are you going curse, Blake? Which fight's going to be the one that we
I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that, man. That would feel terrible if it actually happened. I hope everyone makes it, man, because if all those fights do make it clean into the fight week and on the fight night, that's going to be top to bottom just bananas.
You want me to be an asshole, Blake?
Huh?
The fight that we wouldn't get is Gaethje and Chandler.
Is that are you bringing up vaccination issues?
No, I'm not even bringing up with that. I just think with the MMA gods are very selective with the fights that they take away from us. I think with how hyped this was and kind of how long it took us to get this fight announced and just how much of a brain damage type fight it is, it's a perfect just bleed fight, for those UFC hardcore and casual fans alike. It's almost too perfect of a matchup. So we're just not going to get it. And
You're wrong.
I hope so.
Don't worry, guys. Don't listen to him. He's wrong.
I really hope so. I don't want. This is a one time where I really don't want to be right here. But, ladies and gentlemen, let's cap things off. Of course, let's bring it back. It took a week off, but we're back in action, and it is time for the nay of the week, Blake. And the winner this week has to be the ligaments in Bukauskas' knee. Because those things, I think if there's any example of getting nay-nayed, those ligaments got absolutely nay-nayed by the oblique kick. And so, I mean, while I'm not making fun of, or at least I'm not like intentionally trying to make fun of Modestas here, because I think that's a really crap injury, and he's a great fighter and a great guy. Do kind of want to talk about this though, but in all seriousness, hopefully he recovers soon and he gets back to trying to earn a paycheck here. So hopefully he's not out for too long, and hopefully the UFC Performance Institute takes care of him there like the rest of those injured fighters, right?
Yep.
Hey, all I'm saying, man, it's good to be back. Unfortunately, we don't have a card to look forward to this weekend. And it's felt like August and September we've had like more weekends than usual without a fight night. It's
Couple, it seems like, which is, pretty rare.
right, but hey, if we're building into this crescendo, that's going to be a crazy end to the year in terms of fights. I'm okay with it. And we get a good fight to come back to, because we get Anthony Smith and Ryan Spann, which is not like a huge fight, I guess, name wise, but that's going to be a good scrap. I think that's safe to say, right?
Oh yeah, I think that'll be a competitive matchup, and it's going to be either the doors get kicked open for Spann or Smith proves he's still up there in the top.
All right, gets right back that much closer to a title fight. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us here today for UFC Talk 59. It is great to be back. I'm glad that the Idaho State Athletic Commission finally let me return to my job, make my living here, even though I don't really make my living from this. But we can, because you go on over and support us over at Patreon. You become a patron today at patreon.com/Fourth and Long. You get started for just $1 a month, and we'll continue working towards getting Blake his first paycheck here. You see that, man. He needs that cash flow. How do you think he keeps up that beard? He buys a lot of product for that. A lot of razor blades there, And also, you look at that hair. He puts a pound of product in that before each show.
I don't put anything in this. It's all natural.
Oh, boy. But Blake, your thoughts on UFC Vegas 36 in one word or phrase?
I have one word for you. Are you ready for it?
I am ready. You had 2 weeks to prepare this, so.
Lad.
Damn it. How did I not see that coming?
That was good stuff.
I hate myself. Ladies and gentlemen, hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for listening in, and we will see all of you next week after a fightless Saturday. But you got this. We can do this. We're in this together.
Perseverance.
Persevere, lad.
Conceive, believe, achieve.